Similar to the Double Dragon games, this was a two-player beat-em-up.
Even though Billy and Jimmy Lee had been kicking the crap out of poor Linda before that.
Out on the heels of Double Dragon and Final Fight's success, SEGA released Streets of Rage for the Genesis in 1991.
Double Dragon may have started off the beat-em-up genre, but Final Fight and Streets of Rage helped define it.
It's hard to talk about beat-em-ups without mentioning Double Dragon, since it's the first game that started it all.
Hi, welcome to the Video Game Masters. I'm Mark Rodriguez.
And I'm Johnny Rodriguez.
And I'm the Fish Hunter. You again. Look, we're not talking about movies this time, we're talking about video games.
What video game?
Double Dragon, but
Oh man, my favorite. This is Video Game Masters, and today we're going to talk about Double Dragon 1 and 2. Although Renegade was the first two-player beat-em-up in 1986, 1987's Double Dragon would really bring the beat-em-up genre into action. The Genesis version we're seeing here was released in 1992.
Now you see, that's the problem right there.
Their biggest enemy isn't Roper or Abobo, it's that damn slow moving garage door. It's so slow that by the time it's open, Billy and Jimmy have to go through 4 whole missions just to get Marion back. At least in Final Fight, the Mad Gear gang put barrels in the way, but here, their own fucking garage door screwing them over?
Anyways, Double Dragon will let you play as Billy and Jimmy Lee through 4 missions to get Marion back from the Black Warriors Shadow Gang. In the arcade, Billy and Jimmy were called Hammer and Spike.
The first mission is the city slum where you face Abobo. Mission 2 is the factory where you fight against Jeff. Mission 3 is the woods where you fight 2 more Abobos. Then you storm the enemy fortress where you fight this weird green Abobo. And finally, Mission 4 is the enemy stronghold where you face against the boss of the Shadow Gang, Willie.
The Lee brothers have a lot of moves. They have the basic punches and kicks as well as throws, a headbutt, hair pull knee bashes, and the infamous spinning elbow attack. Mastering this move helps you get through the game a lot quicker. You can also use the weapons that bad guys leave behind like whips and bats or other things like boxes and boulders. Unlike featured beat 'em ups like Final Fight and Streets of Rage, this game doesn't give you any food to refill your health or any 1-ups.
The real kicker about this game is the ending. If you beat Willie alone in a 1-player game, you get Marion back. Now that's all fine and dandy, but when you beat Willie in a 2-player game, you suddenly have to fight it out amongst yourselves to see who keeps Marion. That's right, Marion is Billy's girlfriend, yet suddenly he has to fight out against his own brother to get her back. And get this, if Jimmy Lee wins and kills Billy, Marion runs up to him and kisses him. No questions asked. Man, what a slut. Nice ass though.
Now let's talk about Double Dragon 2 and oh my god!
Oh my god, he killed Marion! And not only that,
they still haven't fixed the garage door!
Anyway, Double Dragon 2 The Revenge was released in arcades in 1988, but the Genesis version was only released for the Japanese Mega Drive in 1991. This time, Billy and Jimmy are out to avenge the death of Marion.
The game has 4 missions again. The first mission is the heliport where you fight Burnoff. Mission 2 is the lumber storehouse. Mission 3 is the wheat field where you face 2 Burnoffs this time. You storm the enemy fortress 1 more time, then you face Willie again in Mission 4. But this time when you kill Willie, you face your own evil shadow clone. You fight 1 or 2 shadow clones depending if it's a 1 or 2 player game.
Why does the music sound like Phil Collins' Easy Lover?
No idea, dude.
An annoying thing about the game is the new control setup. You have a punch, kick, and jump button like before, but this time the buttons switch every time you change the direction you're facing. So if you turn around, the punch button now becomes the kick button. Now, this wouldn't be so bad except for the fact that the kick button is a back kick to hit an enemy behind you. So that means that if you accidentally press kick when an enemy is in front of you, you will turn around and kick the other way, leaving your back wide open to attack. You better get used to this new setup real quick or the game is gonna kick your ass.
You get a new attack called a spinning cyclone kick, and you also get some new weapons like shovels and grenades. There's not much to say about this game though. Many fans complain it was just too similar to the first game. I don't care if you call Mission 2 a lumber storehouse, it looks almost identical to the factory in the first game. If you finish the game, you get this rather depressing picture, a photo of Billy, Jimmy, and Marion during happier times before she died.
What? She's so dead? Don't they used to Double Dragon Balls or something like that?
Well, like real life, revenge doesn't bring the loved ones back.
Serves her right for being a cheating bitch.
Anyways, I know most of you guys out there are more familiar with the NES versions of these two games, so let's check them out real quick.
The Nintendo version of the Double Dragon games had several differences in terms of story and execution. The games have a lot more pitfalls, disappearing platforms, and other side-scroller elements when compared to the raw action of the arcade version.
The first Double Dragon would hit the Nintendo in 1988. There was one player game where you could only control Billy Lee. The two-player mode let both players take turns using Billy, similar to how you would play Super Mario Bros. So that means no two-player simultaneous action like the arcade. You also couldn't use all your moves right away. You had an RPG-style heart system that lets you earn new moves like the jump kick or the spinning elbow when you earn enough points.
The game only gives you 3 lives and no continues, so it's pretty tough. The stages are also different, especially Mission 3. After you take down Woody, guess what? Jimmy Lee reveals himself to be the Shadow Boss. So in the NES version, Jimmy is behind the Shadow Gang and Marian's kidnapping.
Okay, so in the NES version, Jimmy Lee leads the gang that's out to kill you and takes your girl. And in the original arcade version, he wants to beat the crap out of you and take your girlfriend just for the hell of it. Man, either way you look at it, Jimmy Lee's a real douchebag.
You also have an extra mode where you can fight it out, kinda like Street Fighter. You can only make the same character fight each other, however, due to the NES limitations, but it was still a cool extra feature.
Double Dragon 2 was out for the NES in 1989 and is declared by many to be the best Double Dragon game of all time. Again, Billy and Jimmy Lee set out to avenge Mario's death at the hand of random ninja number 45. Again, you only have 3 lives and no continues to complete your quest for revenge.
The game seems to forget the fact that Jimmy Lee led the same gang in the first game, so I guess the whole wanting to kill you and take your girlfriend thing was a minor misunderstanding, huh? Instead of 4 missions, you actually get 9 missions to go through this time. The changes to the plot remove Willy from the game altogether. Instead, after you defeat your Shadow clone, you fight this all-new final boss known as the Shadow Boss.
This time, the game is a 2-player and you have all your moves already. You even get new moves that weren't in the arcade like the Hyper Knee. You still have the horrible button switch and control scheme from the arcade version, where the punch and kick button switch depending on the direction you face.
After you defeat the Shadow Boss, Marion is brought back to life. Cause he said so, yeah. So yes, Marion is alive again.
Alright!
Way to go, Marion!
It's not real, you guys.
Aww.
As you all know, Double Dragon had a third not so successful sequel, but
Hey Johnny, wanna play a 2-player beat 'em up? Sure, what is it? Double Dragon 3. Oh come on, you're gonna do about the whole episode?
We'll talk about that game in another episode. There was also a sequel called Super Double Dragon for the SNES and a crossover game with the Battletoads.
They also made Double Dragon 5 The Shadow Falls for Super Nintendo and Genesis. That game does not exist! Okay.
They made a better fighting game for the Neo Geo later on, and a slightly related game called Rage of the Dragons. There were many versions of the first 2 games, most notably the Game Boy version of Double Dragon 2 that wasn't really a Double Dragon game at all. It was actually a game called Neketsu Koha Kunio-kun Bangai Ranto Hen. God, what a mouthful. With Billy Lee and the Double Dragon label just slapped on it.
And that's our look at the original arcade versions of Double Dragon 1 and 2. This has been the Video Game Masters. I'm Mark Rodriguez.
I'm Johnny Rodriguez. And I'm the Fish Hunter.
What's the deal with the Fish Hunter anyway? I mean, we don't call that hunting, we just call it fishing, you know.
When you go after the kind of fish that I go, it's not called fishing. It's hunting.
Okay, well, anyways, thanks for watching.
See you next time.
Why are you going?
Ahora, que no, si no quedaba.